territorial governor William Henry Harrison, Tecumseh and his fellow chiefs intended to discuss treaty disputes. The meeting with Harrison, however, would soon escalate into an angry confrontation over contrary visions for North America's future, two diametrically opposed ways of life. In an atmosphere heavy with symbolism, the fate of much of the continent would be left hanging in the balance. Approaching Grouseland from his canoe, Tecumseh spotted a row of chairs carefully arranged on the grass near the red brick mansion's portico. A new rail fence separated the lawn and chairs from the bank of the smooth-flowing river. He hesitated. Watching from the portico, Harrison noticed Tecumseh pause. He dispatched Joseph Barron, his Shawnee-speaking interpreter, to summon the native contingent forward. Tecumseh refused, indicating an open grove of walnut trees along the riverbank, about 100 yards from Grouseland's heavy front door. Granting the request, Harrison ordered the chairs and benches moved into the walnut grove. A council fire was kindled to open the conference. Tecumseh's party, their faces painted red, black, and yellow, their heads plucked bald but for a warrior's topknot adorned with feathers, entered the circle, having left their firearms outside by prior agreement, although they still carried tomahawks, knives, and war clubs tucked into their belts. 12 U.S. soldiers armed with muskets provided the guard for Governor Harrison and the other U.S. officials gathering near the council fire. Knowing from experience the discomfort of a soldier's uniform in hot weather, Harrison directed the lieutenant in charge to move the troops into the cool shade of a walnut tree. The territory's judges and officers took their seats in the row of chairs serving as a dais. An armchair for Governor Harrison stood at its center. The warriors sat on the ground in a half circle, but Harrison offered Tecumseh a chair on the dais alongside the other distinguished guests. "It is the wish of the Great Father, the President of the United States, that you do so," said Governor Harrison, who, many years in the future, would become that Great Father himself, the 9th U.S. President. Tecumseh, witnesses reported, stood still. He gazed at the governor briefly. Then he looked up and reached with his arm toward the sky. "My father?" he replied dismissively. "The sun is my father, the earth is my mother, and on her bosom I will recline." The effect was electrical, reported witnesses. For some moments, there was a perfect silence. Although Tecumseh and Harrison had faced off at a distance during the Battle of Fallen Timbers 16 years earlier, they'd never spoken. Since that conflict, which had opened the land that is now Ohio to white settlers, each had risen to high command. Now in his early 40s, Tecumseh had emerged as the powerful and persuasive leader of a movement unifying tribes across the continent's center, spanning from Lake Superior in the north to the Gulf of Mexico in the south, and from the Appalachians in the east to far out on the Great Plains in the west. Harrison, now in his mid-30s, governed the sprawling Indiana Territory, a 250,000 square miles of land east of the Mississippi River. Encompassing an area the size of France, it was inhabited primarily by Indigenous people. Each man single-mindedly strove to defend or impose his radically different vision on the heart of North America. This clash of competing imaginations had reached a pivotal moment. It could tilt toward Harrison's vision, a second wave of America's founding that rolled unstoppably westward by handing out cheap, abundant land to the small farmer, a step toward a truer democracy by giving the little guy the vote, but coming at the expense of Native American tribes. Or it could pivot toward Tecumseh's vision, blossoming into a powerful tribal alliance that Tecumseh and his brother the Prophet had promised to their thousands of followers across the continent. Holding the land as one, the tribal confederacy would refuse to cede more territory to the U.S. government. Tecumseh's vision offered the indigenous leadership its last best hope to repel a relentless white onslaught bent on engulfing their ancestral lands and tearing up their ancestral cultures by the roots.